Mike Yanek show. Chupa best show on the planet. Mike Yanek show. Best show on the planet. Bow wow wow bow wow. And now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome your host for this podcast, Mr. Mike Yanek. Hey, woo, yeah, we love you, Mike. Goddamn. Bam. Episode 13. How you doing, bro? I hope you're having a great week, and I hope that you're having great success in your life. And I am back. It is your great friend, the best friend on the whole planet, Mr. Mike Yanix. I hope that everything is going well for you, and I hope that you're experiencing the time of your life. Okay, mate, listen, before we fucking start, okay? This podcast is recorded, this episode is recorded middle of March, okay? And right about now, by the time this shit comes out in about 3 weeks or something, whatever, this will come out maybe beginning of April or end of March, I'm not sure. And the whole fucking world right now is losing the shit over the you know what, that fucking virus. Okay, I just wanna acknowledge it at the beginning of the show because I don't want people to think like, well, when the fuck was this recorded? You know what I mean? Like everybody just talking about this shit nonstop, and I just want to say, what is my opinion? My opinion is fucking kick that motherfucker in the dick, okay? If I see this virus, I'm gonna punch it in the balls, motherfucker. But no, I just want to say, I don't want to talk about this because it's fucking everywhere, and it, like, I follow it from time to time because it's, it's like a movie, it's interesting, but on the other side, it's like the only thing people talk about. And the whole idea of the show is to take you away from your issues, take you away from your problems. If you have a tough time in your life or something is bothering you, you came here listening to number one show on planet, Mike Yannick show, and I talk about nonsense. I talk about dating, talk about comedy shows and this and that in my life tragedies and my life successes. And that's the whole idea of the show. So I don't want to be like, like the fucking news or whatever. So that's it. I'm acknowledging it. This shit exists out there. Okay, punch it in the dick, eat garlic, eat lemons, do some push-ups, you'll be fucking fine. Okay, so that being said, let's continue now with the show, because I don't want people to think like, what the fuck, he never talks about current events. I don't want to talk about current events. Fuck these current events, motherfucker. Okay, so listen, I've been up to so much stuff because what happened is, like, the first 12 episodes of the podcast, I recorded them in January, because like January is it's slow for everything. You know what I mean? It was really slow for comedy. I think I did like I was booked for 5 shows. I did 3 because 2 of them got cancelled. So I had some time off as well, so I had like a lot of time. So then I recorded the podcast, blah blah blah. But then February was crazy busy for me, mate. I did 14 shows, which for me it's a lot. I've been doing stand up for 7 months now, so it's not like, by the time this comes out, probably 8 months. But you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure that if you're like a professional comedian, I mean, let's be honest, no professional comedians listen to this podcast. Ha ha ha. Just being honest. But you know what I mean? Or if you're somebody who is like with a lot of experience, or maybe you're in a different type of performing arts, you think like 14, that's nothing. Or like, I know in America, especially in New York, because it's so dense and the clubs are right next to each other, I've heard stories about comedians doing like 9, 11 sets a night. You know what I mean? And here, when I say 14 shows, that means you have 14 times going on stage. So probably if you're in New York, you kind of do that type of stuff in 2 days. You know what I mean? But in the UK, it's a bit different. And I live up, northwest England, so it's like we don't have that many comedy venues here where I can do fucking 7 sets a night. So for me, that was a lot, and it was very busy, very productive. I got up to a lot of things and just social life as well, a little bit. I was just too busy, and I was like, what, let me take a month and a half, not off, but just like I have stockpiled enough episodes, to last me like 3 months. I'll go out there, I'll experience life, I'll do some stuff, and then I'll come back and I'll report to the good people. So the mechanic show, what's happening with me and in my life. And there have been a lot of things happening, so I'm gonna talk mostly, like this episode, I'm gonna talk mostly about comedy and stuff and what I've been up to in gigs and all that stuff. I just wanna say that I'm a little bit disappointed before I start. I'm a little bit disappointed by Mike Nation. Mike Nation, that's the people who subscribe to all my social media and follow me and listen to this podcast. This is you, the good listeners. But I'm a little bit disappointed in you guys. I'll tell you why. Because I put an episode, I think it was episode 5 or episode 6, I'm not sure. It was called Strip Club Reviews, and I was so excited about this episode. When I came up with the idea, I was like buzzing, and I recorded the podcast. And I think I did well. I really enjoyed it. And it was just a podcast where I just read 1-star TripAdvisor strip club reviews, and I think it was hilarious. And I read some of the reviews of the like worst rated strip clubs in America, and yeah, I think they were all there. And the thing is, this was the lowest viewed, or whatever the fuck it is, episode from all of them, from all the podcasts I've done. Because, like, I mostly, because it's an audio podcast, I have it on YouTube, but I mostly, focus on Spotify, iTunes, Podbean, Listen Notes, Stitcher. I think these are the places. And I also put some highlights on my Instagram, and I put like the videos as well on Facebook, on my Facebook page, Mike Yanek Show, and I put it on YouTube. But it's only audio with a picture, so YouTube doesn't promote it that well, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't have that many views on YouTube, but I'm quite happy with the the audio reception of the podcast. And I was thinking like, oh mate, this episode is gonna smash it, because I've never heard anything like this before. It's gonna be fun, and I really enjoyed it. And this fucking episode, mate, it's like the worst episode, like the ratings and stuff. Like, what the fuck, man? I'm speechless now. It's your fucking fault. The episode is so good, so go back, you motherfuckers, you beautiful bastard. Go back and listen to the episode. I think it's episode 6, I'm not sure. But anyway, okay, let's crack on here now, because I have a lot of stuff to talk about. First thing, I did the Gong show. Yes, mate. Woohoo. Okay, so I'm starting from the beginning. First, I'm gonna explain what that is. If you're not comedian, and if you have no idea, if you're just a civilian listening. So, Gong show, it's pretty straightforward. You go and you sign up. Usually, either they're gonna have a number of spots where you can apply, usually through Facebook or their website, or you contact somebody, drop them an email, or you can go and you sign up, at the venue. You go up. There's an MC, usually professional MC, that warms up the crowd. Does about 10-15 minutes talking with them. Then he explains the rules. There's usually 3 cards, given out to the audience members. So he calls out an act. They have a running order. You go on stage and you try to perform 5 minutes to survive, that time. That is the goal. You know what I mean? Some gong shows, they have this thing where they'll give you like a minute or a minute and a half, so you can, get the ball rolling, and then they are allowed to lift the cards. If 3 cards go up, you get gonged off. That's it. Pretty simple. If you manage to survive 5 minutes, you go to the final. And at the final, they usually have a clap off. It really depends how many people survive. Sometimes maybe just 2. If it's like 2 people, they'll usually do like a 1-minute joke off. Or sometimes if it's too many, if they have like 12 people or whatever, they'll do like a little clap off to see the final, maybe 4 or 5, and then they'll do 1-minute joke off. So if you win, usually it's about 50 quid. And if it's a big club, they'll usually give you the price, and they'll give you a spot for next month, because it's usually once a month, these gong shows. Opening spot, maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, and sometimes they'll even pay you, like some gong shows, they'll pay you 50 when you win and 50 when you come back. But I'm not a big fan of gong shows, to be fair, but like you have to do them in a way. And it was in a very, very, very prestigious place, which is the Comedy Store in Manchester. They have 2, one in London, one in Manchester. And I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna win. I went there with the mentality to win, but I wanted to get exposure, and I just wanted to be seen by the club, by the professional MC, by the organizers, by people, and so on and so on. Okay, so this is the story. I applied for it so I went there 1st of March. That was the show. I applied maybe a few weeks before. They have a form. They have a really nice form on their website, and there it said 9 spots, and we have 2 or 3 available. So I booked a spot, and I was thinking like, 9 comedians, it's gonna be fun. Maybe probably I'll see somebody that I know. I'll probably finish early, because it said that it starts 7:30, and I was like, even if it starts at 8, probably 9:30 will be done. I'll go home. Okay, and I'm feeling quite good, I go to Manchester, and I walked in, and I go to the bar because I have no idea where to go. I've never performed at that venue, and I ask the bartender, "Oh, sorry, mate, I'm booked for the Gong show. Where is there a green room, or who do I need to speak with?" And she says, "Oh, just stand here, mate, and sign up for the venue." And I kind of turn around, and I was like, "Oh, you mean that queue with the 27 people waiting?" And she was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "What the fuck, man?" There was so many people waiting. It was ridiculous, honestly. And I saw a comedian that I knew, and I'm just standing there, and we signing up. And I was like, "How many acts you have on?" And he was like, "Oh, mate, it can be up to 40." And I was like, "You like what? Up to? Are you kidding me?" Yeah. And he was like, "Which half do you want me to put you in?" And I was like, "What time did this thing finish?" And it can go up to 12 at night. And I was like, "What the fuck?" Jesus Christ, 12. And because I needed to catch the bus and stuff, so the train, so I couldn't stay up to 12. What the fuck? So I said to him, "Yeah, put me in the first half." They had in total 30 acts, which was insane, honestly. Like, what the fuck, man? We had 30 acts, two halves with 15 acts on each half. And I was like, "Yeah, just put me in the first." I was, sorry, I was 11th on the first half. And, so we go inside. It looks beautiful, by the way. Like the venue, it looks beautiful. It holds, I think, 350 people or something, and the most I've performed so far has been 175 people. And, it looked fantastic. So we go, but the thing is, I saw another act as well, but I don't know why, but they just sat fucking, I don't know, like in a very weird place, far away from the stage. And I was like, "Mate, I was on the second row. Come, because, they're gonna call us, blah, blah, blah." Anyway, so I felt kind of sad because I was just I went by myself. I think it'll be a really fun experience. But if you're with your mates and all that stuff, and you talk shit, and you know what I mean, it's just having fun. Anyway, so the show starts. The MC, which professional comedian, he was absolutely brilliant. And he starts riffing with the crowd, blah 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 blah. Oh, when you I forgot to mention. So when you go in, and there is like this smoke on the stage. If you go to my Instagram, which is Mike Yanek, one word, you will see I posted a picture, and it looked so fucking badass because they have the little stew, and next to it they have like this huge gong, and there's like smoke everywhere, and they play music, blah blah blah. And after everybody is seated, before the show starts, the lights go off all of a sudden, and they have like these red lights. They just focus on the stage. Oh, it looks like, it reminded me, with that gong and the music, like a kung fu movie or something, like the final boss of a kung fu movie. It looked amazing. And there was this deep voice like, "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Comedy Store Gong Show. The show is gonna start in 2 minutes," or whatever the hell, or just "Welcome to the stage, your compere and host for this evening," blah 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 blah, right? And I was like, oh, and I was feeling excited because it was pretty packed. It was about maybe around 200 plus people. And I was like, "Oh fuck, man." Anyway, so we start, and in total 9 acts passed, and these 9 acts were all the comedians, to be fair, because not everyone was comedian. I think there was a homeless person. I'm not exaggerating, and I'm not saying it to be mean, but I genuinely think there was a mentally ill homeless person that just got off the street. And because you just need to sign up, there's no checking, there's nothing, you know what I mean? Like, even you can do it, like, if you up for it, but it's a rough experience, you know what I mean, if you don't know what you're doing. And I was like, "What the hell is happening?" So that person got gonged off like pretty quickly. There was a lot of people that you can just see that they're just approaching the mic. That they're gonna go in 40 seconds max, if they're lucky. And if one card goes up, it's so funny because the act usually panics because the guy, so there is a guy, who does like the sound and all that stuff at the back, and he's like announcing, "Next to the stage, blah blah blah," and one card up, two cards up, and he announces it, and it's so funny because if you're not experienced, when you get the one card up, they usually, "Oh, come on, guys," like, "Oh, come on, just give it a chance, work," And they start bargaining with the crowd, and it's so funny. Oh my god! So the first act goes up. I think I think he got gonged off. Yeah, I think like the fourth act was the first who passed. So the first act goes up. They get gonged off, but they gave them a bit of time, like 2 minutes or something. The second gonged off, the third gonged off, the fourth, he finished. And the MC was saying, by the way, because one of the guys didn't lift the card when two other people, and people were not happy, you know what I mean? Because the whole idea is if you hold a card, you need to read the responses of the crowd. That's what the MC said. It doesn't matter if you like him or her or you don't like him or her. You know what I mean? It's like it depends what the crowd thinks. So even they said like even you might think that person is brilliant, but if everybody else is like quiet or just even booing because they are encouraged to heckle, you need to lift that card up. You know what I mean? And I remember one of the acts got off and he was like, hold on, we need to stop this. And they said, what do you think about the last time the judges? And he pointed to one of the judge who didn't lift the card, and obviously two cards went up and the people were not happy. They started booing the fuck out of this guy. They were like, boo. You are worst judge ever. And I'm just sitting like, and I'm not even on stage, and I'm thinking like, where the fuck am I? You know what I mean? It was insane, mate, honestly. And they're like, boo, take his and they're like, mate, there was a guy who legit got angry. Somebody stood up. I'm not joking. I was like, is there gonna be like a fight or something? A guy stood up, like, get this fucking guy. He just screaming, I'm just shouting, cursing the poor guy. There was this guy who was like I don't know, like a biology teacher or something, something like that. He's just wearing a fucking vest and glasses, and he's middle aged. He's just there, you know what I mean? He's just there to have a good time, and they just gave him the card because he was literally on the first row, right next to the stage, and the people on the first row always get the card, and this fucking guy. They heckling him, booing him, Jesus. So they kind of, I think they flipped the cards or something. I don't remember. And the MC said, look, if you're not happy, even if you don't hold the card, just scream card. You know what I mean? Heckle, talk shit to them, like they're encouraging them. You know what I mean? Oh my god. So anyway, so the fourth act, I think he passed. Then a few more acts. Anyway, a few crazy people who were genuinely like, what the fuck's happening? And then somebody else who I knew was before me, but he got gonged off pretty quickly. And then I was on. And then I was like, oh, okay. And I just kind of went, because I do my little like stretches and stuff. I do a lot of physical comedy on stage. If you've seen me before, I'm crazy on stage. And I'm just like doing my little stretches. And I'm like, okay. I'm breathing, like I'm really excited. And they said, okay, Mike, Yanek. And I kind of jump and I kind of rush the stage, and I always scream. I always rush the stage, and I was like, yeah, and I screamed the name of the city, and I just got on stage, and the woman started laughing straight away because, like, when I'm on stage, you need to show a bit of vulnerability in a way, even though I'm very loud and very confident on stage, and at least I think that most of the times I have a good stage presence. You know what I mean? I can own the stage, but at the same time, I try to show up a little vulnerability. Like, for instance, one of my favorite sweaters that everybody makes fun of me legit after the show, like, this sweater is horrendous, but I love it and I love wearing it on stage because it just looks ridiculous, and it's like mustard color, color mustard, but it's like really bright and it looks a bit silly. And I tuck my shirt in always, and when I tuck my shirt in, I have like this crease line, above my belly. Hold on. Below, I don't know, if below my belly button, and it looks, I don't know, it looks funny, you know what I mean? But at the same time, it's interesting when I have that persona, which is really, confident, but I look this way, you know what I mean? And it usually works, and they started laughing, and it went very, very, very well. I'm really happy with my performance. I survived the 5 minutes, and but the thing is, like, oh, dude, if you're like a comedian who is a bit lower energy, or if you like the slow paced comedy, or you're the guy or girl who takes like the long pauses on and stuff, oh man, you're gonna have such a long, it's gonna be a tough night for you, honestly, because these people, mate, they don't fuck about. Even I remember, like, I'm very quick on stage. I like to speak fast, and I like to be joke, 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 joke. You know what I mean? Sometimes even if a premise is a bit longer, I'll speak faster. I'm not joking. I mean, still clear so they can understand everything and they know where I'm going with this. But I'll just speed it up, honestly, because I just want to get the punchline. I just want to make people laugh and get the energy. And let's do some crazy shit. I can do fucking 2 minutes of premise, mate. It's just not me. And me as an audience member as well. If your premise is longer than 25 seconds, you've lost me. I'm not joking. Like, I'll give it 25 seconds max. And even I remembered when I was on stage, I did my act twice as fast because just the atmosphere was, you know what I mean? Oh, hold on. I need to unzip my hoodie. Hold on. Oh yes, you hear a sexy sound of me unzipping my hoodie. And I was like, this crowd is so fucking aggressive and so fucking like, if there is a little chink in your armor, a little one, they will eat your life. You know what I mean? There's no fucking mercy. I even heard, when I was doing my act, I heard everybody enjoyed it, but I still heard two or three people at the back shouting card, you know what I mean? Like maybe two or three, yeah, which is good out of 200, which is really good. That's like, is it like 0.5%? Is that like two people out of 200? Oh no, hold on, that's 1%. Sorry, I'm so stupid. Which is good, you know what I mean. But even they, and I performed. I think I performed my set well, and I was really, because it's a big stage as well. It's a big crowd, so I was like even more flamboyant and more fast, and even my movement was so much faster and so much like, the transitions were much more quicker, smoother. You know what I mean? And I was like, these are fucking sharks and I need to survive this. Because, when you're doing a set, is different, mate. Like, especially, people know that you're doing 10 or 15 minutes, they'll give you time. It's different. But here, man, it's fucking. And I was like, you know what? I traveled, I paid £10. I bought, like an open ticket. You know what I mean? I spend this time. I don't want to go and get gonged off in 20 seconds. Like, I know some people who are, they just haven't worked on their act. You can see them, and they just go on stage, they take the mic. Well, yeah, oh, how are you doing? Doing crowd work at a Gong show? You know what I mean? Like, no, mate, what are you doing? Or they're not prepared. You can see them, and they got gonged off in 40 seconds. And when I talk to them, they're like, oh, I'm here every month. And I was like, so where are you from? And they like traveled for this and spend money or whatever. And I'm just thinking there's nothing wrong with that. But I think that you're just wasting your time, money, and energy and resources. They say, oh, but it's good practice. Well, is it really practice though? If you get gonged off in 40 seconds, like you spend, well, so I've spent 1 hour and 40 minutes traveling both ways. I spent 10 quid to get there. I also spent a total of about half an hour because I get to go from my house to the city center of Liverpool and then catch the train. So I spent around 2 hours of traveling, £10, and before I got, my whole day is rearranged because if I'm not gigging, if I'm staying at home in the evening, I have a completely different schedule that than if I'm gigging. I need to prepare, take shower, prepare my food because I do sandwiches and bananas and nuts and all that fucking nonsense. I always eat before a gig. This is just how I am. So my whole day is rescheduled for 40 seconds so I can get gonged off and feel like shit. So that's why I say to like comedians who are like my level or just starting out, they think about gong shows. And I was like, do 6 months of comedy. Don't even think about a gong show. I did my first gong show, I think I was maybe almost 5 months into comedy, I think. And I did my first gong show. But I did it. It was in Blackpool. I did it so I can get exposure and can be seen by the owner and the management of the club. I didn't win, but they like me. And 2 months ago, I got my first open spot at a midweek in Blackpool Comedy Club, which made me super happy. I was really buzzing because that was one of the things on my bucket list, and I get to meet the owner as well, which is a great guy, and we did recently a gig together in Liverpool, maybe like a few weeks ago. So hey, mission completed. You know what I mean? But if like I don't think they're gonna, if you go to the Gong show and if you do 20 seconds or whatever, get gonged off, I don't think somebody will come after you, at the gig and be like, oh, that's really good. Do you want to open spot maybe in a month in my midweek on Thursday or whatever? I don't think that's gonna happen. So fucking prepare, mate. You know what I mean? Otherwise, you're just wasting your time. And I see so many comedians, man. They just don't prepare. Honestly, they just go on stage because they've seen, the greats who, like Chappelle or Bill Burr or whatever, like, and they make it seem easy because they make it like they're just talking and it's funny, they just talk in a funny way. This is how you see it, you're like, oh, if I go and tell this 7-minute story about me having a pint in the pub, oh, I'm sure they're gonna laugh. Yeah, but you don't have punchlines. They kind of know, they know how to do it because they've been doing it for 30 years and all that stuff. And I just say, man, just fucking have some solid material when you go on stage. Or if you don't have, improvise if you're really, really good at improvising, but not at the Gong show. I mean, don't do crowd work. Oh, and I saw a few cheeky ones, which I was like, oh, that's a bit sneaky, isn't it? They go and they start because it's 5 minutes and you need to survive. But for me, I see it as I have 5 minutes to pack as many jokes as I can. Some people see it as I have 5 minutes to survive. You know what I mean? I need to run out the clock. And they just go and it's like, hey, how you doing, guys? You enjoying yourself so far? And the audience go, woo. So, my mom nags me or whatever, right? Oh, who else gets nagged by their mom and gives them cold? Make some noise. And they're like, woo. And, and every fucking second sentence is like this thing with you want to get the crowd reacting. And that's like 5 seconds. I'm not like, you're just buying time. And when you do it 5 times in a 5-minute set, that's like a minute. 1/5 of your set is just like, woo, from the crowd or whatever. And sometimes they get, because if you hit one or two jokes and then you do that, they kind of forget that, you know what I mean? And maybe it's a good tactic, but at the end of the day, when you go to the final, when they start doing the clap off, when you had some real motherfuckers, you know what I mean, who've been smashing those 5 minutes because they've packed so many punchlines, you don't have a chance. I saw that in the Blackpool show as well, and those people, I think two people were like that. They just got the final straight away. They were the first. One of the guys didn't even get like single applause or something. They just gong him off. But yeah, man, have fucking material, and it was fun. But I wish I was there with me mates, to be honest with you, because I think it will be a really fun experience. But one of my goals now, because I have comedy goals by the end of 2020, is I want to do an open spot, like the 8-minute spot in Manchester Comedy Store, which I think I'll manage to do because, I have a lot of time left and, till the end of this year. Let's see how things are gonna evolve, because I don't want to go back to the virus and stuff, but in all honesty, a lot of gigs are getting cancelled now, so let's see how things go, because I think this thing is gonna clear out in maybe 2 months, let's be honest, because like in China, they reached the peak, they said now, and things are starting to go down there, and I think here we're just reaching the peak now. So I think in 2 months it'll be gone completely. But anyways, if things go as normal, and we have the gigs and all that stuff, I think I'll manage to do it, because like I had a lot of goals for 2020, the comedy goals, and when I looked at them, like I've completed maybe, I don't know, like 15% of them so far, and we're talking about like 2 months. And January, it's not even, I don't even count it. I did 3 gigs in January, so it's like in a month I completed the 15% of them just by accident. I wasn't planning to them for them, but it just happened, So I think I'll manage to do that by the end of the year. And yeah, that's about it. Oh, hold on, let me tell you. Oh, that's funny. So, yeah. So I finished the show. I almost forgot. So I finished the show. I go to the go to the train, and I felt a bit sad, to be honest with you. Like, because I wish I was with my mates. I wish that maybe I got, because I was in the final 9, but they did like a little clap off for the final 4, and the final 4 did a 1-minute joke off. Even though the guy, that's clever move, by the way, to go last, absolutely last. And if you're good, because they're gonna remember you. How the fuck you gonna remember act number 4 from the first half? That was like 2 hours ago, and that was like, I'm like, 25 acts before. There's no way you can remember him. So yeah, if you do a gong show, go last, or go always in the last four in the final half. That is your best bet. You know what I mean? The guy who won, I think he was good. You can see that he was an experienced comedian, at least 2 or 3 years. But my favorite was this Irish guy who talked about Pimp My Ride, and I was howling laughing when I saw him, because he was maybe 27th or something before I saw the final guy. I saw him and I was like, I'm not gonna win this. I knew at that moment I'm not gonna win this. But I was like, this is so fucking funny. And I just wanted to talk to that guy because I'm super friendly before and after gigs. This is just how I am. I love to talk to comedians. I love meeting new people, taking pictures with, with fans or whatever the fuck. Yeah, I just love it. And I was like, I need to find this guy's name. I wanna, like if I see him at gigs sometimes, because, if he's from Manchester or something, if he lives in Manchester, I just wanna talk to him, because I grew up with the same show, and like I'm not gonna give out the bit, obviously, but like the way he was explaining it, I was thinking, like when I was a kid, I was thinking, like, what the fuck they doing that? And he was so funny, and he had, the Irish accent, but the way that he switched from Irish accent to the American accent, and he was talking about the host, which was Exhibit, and he imitated him. I was crying, laughing, and I really wanted him to win. The clap off, when they got to me, I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna get this. I actually clapped for him, and he was next to me. So when he got on stage, the first thing he saw me, he was like, give me not a hug, but like the little shake with, and you bump your shoulders and stuff. I don't know what's the name of it. He was like, mate, I fucking love your stuff, and I was like, mate, I fucking love your stuff. And I just about to start to ask him, like, he said he's been doing it for 2 years. Just as I'm about to, start to talk, they stayed. Now we're doing the clap off, so we couldn't. We were standing on stage anyway. This fucking guy is brilliant. If you ever heard this, mate, if some of you know who the fuck this guy is, Irish guy, redhead-ish, with a beard, he had a hat on, I don't know. He talked about Pimp My Ride. If somebody can find this fucking guy, I want to talk with him, okay? Because he was hilarious, honestly. And, yeah, I don't know his name. So I finished the gig, didn't win, got out. So I go to the train and I sit there, and I don't know, I just felt like a little bit, because I was expecting at least to go to the final four. But yeah, I mean, those were really, really, really good acts, and they were way more experienced, by the way, because I knew the other one of the guys who got to the final four. I've heard about him. Think he's been out for a few years, and you know what I mean. I'm 7 months, so I cannot be like, I should win and stuff. Like I'm not experienced enough to win a gong show yet, but I'm sure I will. And I'm thinking I'll do it in 6 months again. So I'm thinking to do the Frog and Bucket twice a year, and to do the gong show at Manchester twice every 6 months. You know what I mean? Until I win it eventually. Sitting there and I feel kind of. And you know how they have the two seats, and the other two seats, looking across each other, that little space. And one other guy, just like a young guy, he sits across for me. I don't know him. I don't pay attention. I'm just looking at my phone. And he's eating a Snickers bar. And at the next stop, two ladies, drunk, middle-aged ladies, they come over. And because there's space next to me, one of the ladies, she starts asking for food. She's just walking around. She's like, do you have any food? Do you have any chocolates? I need some sweets. Do you have any sweets? I'm in the mood for some chocolates right about now. And she sees him, and the next lady, she sits next to, like, not next to him, but on the other aisle, you know what I mean, the other side, there. And there's an empty space next to me. And she looks at him. She's like, oh, do you have any chocolates by any chance? And he's like, hold on, what? And I'm like, what? We don't know this lady. She just came in. You know what I mean? And he was like, no, sorry. I only have a Snickers if you want. And he pulled out another one, like the small ones. She's like, oh, I don't like Snickers. All I want is just chocolate. I don't want when they have the little nuts and the little nougat and the little toffee or whatever. No, I just want pure chocolate. And slap me with some chocolate in my face. And she didn't say that, but I mean, she said that about the Snickers, but she didn't say that about slap me in the face with some chocolate. And and I'm just like, and she sat next to me, and I think she was drunk. Honestly, like she was acting a bit weird. The other lady, she was fine, she was sober, but the one sit next to me, and she like leaned over. She's like, "Do you have any chocolates?" And I was like, "I have sandwiches if you're hungry." And she was like, "Sandwiches, really?" And I say, "Yeah, because I always carry a sandwich with me, homemade sandwich. I always carry a little how's it called? Tupperware with nuts, little nuts, mixed nuts, by the way, and another Tupperware, usually with like pretzels and little like cheese salted crackers, that type of stuff. A bit of treats for myself, and a banana and some water. And I was like, yeah, look, I have nuts, I have this, I have a sandwich. And she was like, oh, really? What are the sandwiches with? And I said, what was it? Salami or chorizo? I think salami, chorizo, um, spinach, cheese and cream cheese and spice or something like that. She was like, spinach? You lost me at spinach. And I was like, well, spinach is really good for you, blah, blah. She's like, I don't want your sandwiches. Are they homemade? What are they? And I was like, they're homemade. And she's like, no, it sounds disgusting. And I was like, what do you mean disgusting? They sound amazing, and what the fuck? I'm offering you free food and you're rejecting it. And I'm starting. I go back into comedian mode, like I'm just doing crowd work or whatever and just roasting people and all that stuff. And she takes the Tupperware with the sandwich. She's like, look, does somebody want a sandwich? And I was like, what? And she started walking back and forth in the train and just asking people, do they want my sandwich? Because she said, I'll prove you that nobody wants this sandwich. And I was like, what the fuck? And then I walked down and I was like, and I talked to some random this was on Sunday, so yeah, there were a few drunk people because it was late. It was about 11, I think, and some drunk people, some drunk students, and they were like, "Hold on, what are you talking about?" Blah blah blah, and I started explaining, and I said to them what happened. Anyway, so I sat down and I pull out my phone. By this point, the guy across me, he started laughing and stuff. Actually, if you want to see this story, I started doing this. I started recording stories like that because it's like you need to see them. You know what I mean? I'm not doing justice when I explain them. And, when you're in the moment, it's a bit different when you take a video. So if you want to see that video, go to my YouTube channel. I don't have a custom URL so far because they have some restrictions and stuff. But just type in Mike Yanek show or whatever, and you're gonna see Mike Yanek, and just subscribe, and you will see. I have the video there. I have two videos. The other one I'm gonna talk about it next episode. I wanna leave it as a little bit of surprise for you, and. So I have the video. It's about a minute long or whatever. I'm just ranting and stuff. It's really funny, and I'm filming, and she's like hiding and stuff. Anyway, it was really fun though. And then they left, and then I started talking to the guy across me, and we just talked. He was like a student, blah blah blah. He follows me on Instagram now, and he's a musician. Turns out musician. Very very cool guy. Very fun guy. And we talked. He was asking me about comedy. How did you get into it? How was the Gong show? This, that. Oh, you know what happened? Like when I was sitting there was a guy who came over because when I was walking back and forth with the sandwiches, and he said, "Hey, you're the guy from the Gong show." And I was like, "What?" He said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. I just came back from." This is what the guy said. I was just at the comedy store, at the comedy show, and I saw you. And I was like, "Oh, really?" And he was like, "Yeah, man, you were really funny, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "Oh," he was like a Romanian guy. And he was like, "You're from Bulgaria?" And I was like, blah, blah, because, Romania and Bulgaria, they're neighboring countries. And we just talked about a little bit. I took a video with him as well. I was like, tell the people how funny I am, And hold on. And it was really interesting. I haven't posted this anywhere. I'll keep it on my phone for now. It's like 15 minutes, and the guy just saying that he enjoyed my stand up and all that stuff. But that was good, man. I like when people recognize me. I got a few of those, like hey, I've seen you at this gig or blah blah blah. It feels really nice, and it was fun, man. It was fun times. Yeah, I kind of talked to the guy. He was telling me that he's a musician and all that stuff. And was he? I Yeah, he was in a band as well. I don't remember the name of the band. And I was telling him that, I have deep respect for artists and people who do stuff that I'm completely incapable of, like music, like because I have zero talent. And anything when it comes to music. I have no idea how to play an instrument. I don't know how to sing, none of that, And I really admire people like that. But I mean, real talented musicians, not of this whole fucking, what is it, auto tune? Because now the music industry, man, like half of these motherfuckers can sing, let's be honest. You know what I mean? Like Mariah Carey is one of the few who can really sing, like who has an actual powerful voice. Half of the, I'm not joking, this shit, like even like the big Lady Gaga, she can fucking sing, mate. Honestly, like I've seen some, a cappella performances, and I saw her with Bradley, whatever the fuck, on a piano, Bradley Cooper, I don't know, on a piano on the Oscars or something. I made a bunch of memes, by the way, from those pictures, so follow my Facebook and Instagram. Man, I'm shilling proper hard today, so you can see the memes. And but half of these motherfuckers, man, they can do jack shit. You know what I mean? But he played me some stuff. He's actually talented. This kid is talented. Yeah, and that's about it. And I went home, and I felt really good. Like just interacting with them. And it's all about, I don't know, man. This story, it's like, just have fun. That's what I'm trying to say. Just have fun, and even if something doesn't go well, like I don't know, man. It's just have fun. Like that's how I do with this whole comedy stuff. I don't take it too seriously. I don't take myself too seriously. When I see some comedians, when they start posting these motivational speeches and stuff. Now, look. That being said, I have on Amazon, because before I got into comedy, I was writing books. I have 6 books on Amazon. 3 of them are motivational books. But it's like, hey, I wrote them back in the day. I put a lot of time and work into them, and I think that stuff works for me, and I really enjoy, especially back in the day, not so much now, but I have a lot of stuff to do, and I don't really need it as much. But there was a period in my life where I really really listened to that type of stuff and read motivational quotes and watch the movies and inspirational clips, and they really helped me out. And I put a lot of time and effort into the book, so fuck it, man, I'm not gonna take them down. You know what I mean? So, but that being said, like, I see all posting all these motivational, these fucking complicated statuses, and like, I do comedy because this and that, and I'm the just, no, fuck off, mate. You know what I mean? Like, so just fucking tell some few fart jokes, and that's it. And listen, if you fucking bomb on stage and if you don't do well, you know what I mean? I see all these people having mental breakdowns. Oh, I'm gonna go and have, like, I'm gonna go and get drunk, like, I'm gonna intoxicate myself and take a bunch of drugs because, oh my god, I'm broken inside right about now. Bro, listen to me, man. Like, what the fuck? Well, you're just telling jokes and people didn't laugh at your fucking fart jokes or whatever. You know what I mean? Dude, it was just jokes, mate. Like, I had a bad gig a few weeks ago. Yeah, I did feel bad, but in the morning when I woke up, I was like, hey, what can you do, man? And then I had day after that, I had a really good gig, and the day after that, I did a really, really, really good gig, and it was in a very important place, like a comedy club that I've never done before, comedy venue. I'm not sure if it's a club, but I did very well, and I was like, hey, it just happens, you know what I mean? Sometimes it's not gonna work for you. And at the end of the day, it's just jokes, mate. We're not out here fucking curing diseases and, you know what I mean? Like constructing spaceships for people to go into space and fix a satellite. We're just telling jokes, mate. You know what I mean? I don't understand people who take this shit too seriously. Like, look, work at it. I take it really seriously in a way that I put a lot of work into it, and I see it as a business, like being self-employed, that type of stuff. Yeah, I put so much time and effort into it, but the whole outcome is just like, at the end of the day, I'm kind of aware what we're doing. It's entertainment, it's fun, we're telling jokes, we're just talking shit for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, or even this podcast, I don't know, talk shit for an hour. You know what I mean? Like, what if an episode doesn't do well? Except the strip club review, that was a great episode, you cheeky bastards. But if it doesn't do well, I'm gonna fucking cry. No one gives a shit, mate. Just have fun, enjoy yourself. And the other thing I was about to say, oh yeah, I was on the radio. Ho ho ho! I was on the radio. One of the other things on my bucket list, by the way, that I accomplished in the end of January, makes me very happy. I'm gonna tell you about that, because this episode is a bit of yeah, it's a bit of a summary. Even, look, I'm not doing that many like voices and being a goofball. It's just like a little wrap up what I've been up to for the last 2 months and a half. which I think is good because a lot of things are happening, man. Very excited over here. I'm very excited over here, lad. Um, Before I tell you about the radio stuff, I'm gonna give you this analogy that I actually mentioned when I was there, because the host, he's one of my mates, comedy mates, great guy. You know me, I don't name drop on this podcast because I don't want somebody to get not offended, but mad, because like, oh, we went there and so was there, and if I miss out somebody, they're like, oh, why you didn't mention me? I don't name drop on this podcast, but anyway, you can find the full interview on my YouTube channel and on my Facebook, but on my Facebook is somewhere buried deep because I post so much on my Facebook page. Again, Mike Yanek Show. I'm chilling, bro. I need to, it's on my YouTube. Anyway, so I said to him, because he said, what do you think that, comedians who are starting out are just missing, and not understanding if they're serious about comedy. And I said to him, listen, you have kind of two options, I think, when you start out. Do a few months, do maybe 3 months of comedy, 4 months, and see how do you feel. Do you want this to be a hobby, to have fun, to be something like after school project, like they say, just a fun activity? Sorry. If that is the case, have fun with it, mate. You know what I mean? Don't be too tough on yourself. Don't, you know what I mean? If you want to write, write. If you don't want to write, don't write. If you want to improvise on stage, just make it in a way that you have relatively good gigs and do well so you can have fun and enjoy it. You know what I mean? But after 3 or 4 months, right? And if you like, you do it. And this was my case. I did it just as a bucket list thing, And for the first 2 or 3 months, I was just having fun. I was not, I didn't take it seriously because I was like, oh, this is just a hobby. I needed to zip up my hoodie again. And, but after 3 months, if you think like, oh, you know what, I want to go somewhere with this, because I genuinely believe I can go somewhere with comedy, stand up comedy, and I think it will open the door for me to many other things. And in the entertainment industry, even though for me stand up is the thing that I want to do. I don't want to be an actor and all that other stuff. So if you want this to be a profession, or if you want this to be something that you can pay your bills with, or if you want this to be like a full-time effort for you because you feel so passionate and give you exposure and all that stuff, then look at it this way. I pointed, because there was windows at the studio, and I pointed to him across the street. I think there was like a little shop or something. And I said, I don't remember what was it. I think it was a travel agent. But I said, let's imagine, you see that little shop over there? Just imagine that this is a bakery, okay? And your dream is, to open a bakery. And this is a space you go one day, and this is an empty to-let space. And you had that dream for a few years now, and you're like, okay, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna do it. So what do you need to do to open a bakery? Like, first thing you need to do is you need to contact the people. Like, if you have the money, let's say that you have the money, okay? Somehow you have money, not that much, but you can start, right? You contact the people, you do a viewing or whatever the fuck, and you see the contract and you see this and that, and then you sign the contract. And then what do you? Then you start to do, if you haven't done it before, obviously, the research, which, okay, what equipment do I need? Who's gonna bake them? Let's say you know how to bake, I don't know, muffins or whatever. You contact the people with the equipment, and then you buy it, and then you this and that, and then you have people to install it, and then this and that, and then you build up the shop a little bit, and then you get the supplies, and then you sign the contracts with the supplier so they can give you, the ingredients that you need every morning. And then you create the sign, you come up with the name, the logo, now, I haven't never opened a bakery, so I'm not sure if this is the exact, steps that you need to take, but you need to do these stuff. I don't know in which order, you know what I mean? If you're a baker or whatever listening to this and you own 7 shops, be like, this is not how you do it, you fucking bastard. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. You create the logo, you create the website, some sort of advertising. I don't know. You go across the street on the radio and make an interview, or print leaflets or whatever, and then you get the customers, then you decide, I'm going to work from this to these hours, then you file your taxes, then you hire an accountant, you know what I mean? And it's an ongoing process. It's an ongoing process. Now, These are the steps. These are a lot of steps, and you need to do this every single day. You need to do like these little steps every single day. That's kind of acceptable when you say to somebody, I want to open a business. You know what I mean? Like most people be like, oh yeah, you need to, like, what are you doing today? Oh, today I'm designing the logo for my from my shop. Or oh, tomorrow I don't know, I'm getting these new recipes for muffins. You know what I mean? Like, but the thing is with comedians who are starting out, not all of them, but some of them, they don't see it that way. I see it as a business. You know what I mean? It's like there's no difference between becoming a comedian from open micer to one day making money being a professional, then opening a bakery store, from just walking past the street and having the dream in your head to seeing a store and doing it. You know what I mean? Like, you have to do all these stuff. Same with comedians, because like you need to write every single day. That's why I said to him, you need to write every single day. You need to practice. You need to memorize your bits. You need to do some research on topics. If you have some idea, like for instance, I was writing a bit about. I'm not giving out a bit. It has to do with cabin crew and airplanes, and I don't even know how many people are the cabin crew. No idea, genuinely. I know there's two pilots. I don't know how many flight attendants. I don't know, like, does the engineers, they count as a crew? You know what I mean? So like, this is research. I have to do this research to be accurate in the bit, and I have to see, okay, how much do they get paid? Because if I want to mention something, oh, they're underpaid or they're overpaid or whatever, okay, I have no idea how much a cabin crew member makes. So this is research. You need to do the research. Then you need to contact venues. You need to go to gigs. You need to be very professional. You know what I mean? Like, if they say you need to be there 7:30 or whatever, you need to be there 7:30. You're booked for 15, you're doing 15. You're not doing 7, and just because it's not going well, you go off stage. I've seen people, they go on stage, somebody heckles them. After 2 minutes, they have a mental breakdown because they don't know how to handle it. Because fair enough, we all shit. I'm shit as well. We're just starting out. You know what I mean? But I think it's good for you to hear this perspective, because most of the comedians who have podcasts, like especially the really famous, they've been doing it for 30 years. You know what I mean? Like, when you hear somebody, especially if you're starting out as a comedian or starting out as whatever, you know what I mean? If you hear Bill Burr talking about like, the open mic scene 30 years ago was completely different. You know what I mean? Like, and he's so far away, and for good reason. He's unbelievable, but he's so far away from that world that I live in right now, that he, you know what I mean, like, he cannot really associate with that anymore, but I can. So for me, I think it would be interesting if you hear this perspective as well, for a person who is starting and just building up and just recording my process along the way, my journey. I don't like to use this word, but you know what I mean. Hold on. Man, what the fuck's happening with my throat? Fucking hell. I'll have a fucking mint after this. And they don't see it that way, the starting out comedians, sorry. So you have a mental breakdown and you go off stage, or you go on stage, you do 2 minutes, you get no laughs, and you panic and you blank out and you forget your material, and you just stand there. I've seen that as well. I've seen many shit shows, because I'm in the open mic scene now, and you see all type of acts. I've seen acts who go on stage, like, they just show up to a venue or whatever, and they're like, oh, can you give me some time? And they're like, oh, okay, I'll give you 5 minutes. I've seen acts, they go on stage and they complain, why do they have only 5 minutes? While they're on stage, they complain for a minute and a half. They're like, hey, there's only 4 acts on, there's only 7 people here, watching. Why do I get only 5 minutes? Jesus, man, I should be able to do 10. I mean, what? And I'm just sitting there and I was like, what the hell are you doing, mate? You know what I mean? So you need to be professional. Doesn't matter if you're an amateur comedian, if that's your first gig or a millionth gig. You need to be professional, right? I'm gonna be there on time. I'm gonna do the time that I'm booked for. Don't go over, okay? Just because, like, I've seen acts like, listen, the most I've ever gone over, agreed upon, is a minute and a half. I think no, about a minute or minute and a half. But I've talked with the owner, and I said, just if something, is it okay? And they said, no worries. You know what I mean? Just take it, don't go over 15, but you can do 1, 2, 3 minutes above. I'm not going to take you, don't worry about it. That's different. You know what I mean? If they say tight 10, sometimes you go over a little bit. It happens maybe like 40 seconds. But if it goes well, they're usually okay. You know what I mean? And you need to close the bit and you go off stage and you apologize. The first thing I do, I always apologize. They said, don't worry. It was good. People enjoyed it. I cannot, because I see that this bit, you're midway, I cannot take you off. You know what I mean? Like when you have 40 seconds to finish it off with a big bang and leave. That's okay. But don't fucking, I've seen people, I'm giving you 10, they're doing 17 and it's not even going that well. And you're like, what the fuck, man? Like, no, you be professional. Like everything you do in your life, just be fucking professional about it. And I'm explaining these stuff to him, and he was like, I've never thought about it this way. And I was like, yeah, it's exactly like building up that bakery from scratch. Also, how you gonna advertise yourself? I've seen comedians who are phenomenal. Like I will never be as funny as them. I've seen them maybe in person, or I've heard about them, and I've seen like a clip of them on YouTube in a random pub. And I was like, doesn't matter how many years I do this, I'll never be even on their level. And I've seen they've been doing it for a while, and nobody knows them. You know what I mean? They get like the odd paid gig, £50 in a pub here and there, but nobody knows them because like their marketing is not there. Um, you need to do the fucking marketing. That's the thing. That's the other thing. You need to have a website. You need to do, I don't know, fucking leaflets. You need to be shameless. I'm shameless, mate, in my promotion. I do not care. I have a website now, MikeYanek.com. Yes, baby. I have all the social media. I post clips after every gig. I record like a little video being an idiot with a funny accent that just did the gig. A great time, so much success. I do this nonsense. I do the podcast. I don't give a fuck, mate. One of my comedian mates that made me laugh. He said, because after I finish a gig, I always go from table to table and just talk to people. And he was like, "You're like a bride at a wedding." You know what I mean? You just go from table to shake hands and take pictures, and this is just how I am. You have to be like, I do it because I like it. It's not because like, oh, I'm gonna get something out of them. But usually you have to be, man. Like the days of the awkward comedian who goes into the venue, doesn't talk to nobody, stays in the corner on his phone, goes on stage, does 10 minutes well, goes off stage, has a like whatever 2 minutes and then leave. Those days are fucking gone, mate. Honestly, like if you want to go somewhere in this industry, I'm not joking, I'm telling you, those days are fucking gone. Like when I'm booked, that's why I say to all me comedians who are my level starting out, and they was like, you, how come you're always on? When we're at the venue, you're always like in the comedian mode, even off stage with the audience. And when I'm doing the bucket split collection now, when we do small pubs, and if I know the owner, I said, let me do the bucket collection, because I walk from table to table and I tell jokes. I just tell jokes and I collect money, and and people love it, and they put more money. We did like a few bucket splits. We raised like I'm not joking, like a crazy amount of money. I was like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like I've never got paid so much for a gig, but because the we did this gig. I have the audio of the gig, by the way. It's in Neptune Breweries, and hold on, fucking, what's happening with my throat, man? Just fucking viruses. We did this gig in Neptune Breweries. It was my third gig from January, and I said to the guy, he's one of my mates. He's great, and so we finished the gig. It's a small pub, and it's like, I don't know, 40 people. Nah, 30 people max. And nah, not even that, 25 probably. And so we finished, and the owner of the pub, like a lovely lady, and it's a very small pub. It's like a room, I'm not even joking. She came behind the bar, and she was like, okay, guys, so I hope that you enjoyed the show. Now we're gonna do like a little collection. I'm gonna leave this pint, and she left not a very big pint on the bar, and she said, if you can just buy, if you want, just pass and just leave a few pounds, they will really appreciate it. And just look at the owner, the organizer. He knows me, good mate, and I was like, mate, can I do the fucking bucket collection? He's like, yeah, go for it. And she stopped talking, and I just went on the improvised stage. I take the pint, and I said, what she's trying to say is, we are very happy that you came and you supported live comedy this evening, but now it's time for you to pay up, motherfuckers. And they just started laughing. And I was like, I'm gonna do the fucking collection, so you better, put in the big money. And I just started walking, and I think I said some stuff like, I need money for prostitutes and cocaine, and they just erupted. But in my style, where I'm shouting and screaming, I'm in the, I'm still I'm still Mike Yanek, you know what I mean? I'm still that character on stage, even off stage when I'm in the venue. And they loved it, mate. And we got so much fucking money, and we were only 4 acts, so we proper cashed in a good chunk of money for that evening for like 15. Did I do 15? I don't think I did 15. I did 12, but I did so much crowd work before and after the gig, so it's, you know what I mean, it kind of counts as 20 minutes. Yeah, I think he said something like that. Anyway, and I collected all the money. They loved it, mate. Honestly, I took pictures with people, give out, my social media. They fucking loved it, and this is what you need to fucking do. Those days are over, mate. The awkward little, nerdy comedian doesn't talk to anybody and is afraid of people. Those days are over, mate. If that's you, if that's like who you are as a person, and you cannot get over that, you need to be really funny on stage, mate. Honestly, like, otherwise you're fucked. Like, if you're average on stage, and if you just don't, you know what I mean, if you just don't associate and just communicate with the people in the venue, with the fans, you're fucked, mate. You better be hilarious. Because, like, I'll tell you what, like, I've done gigs where I did okay. It's not like the best performance, but I did all right. But just because I interacted with them so much after the gig, they completely forget about your performance on stage, because they love you by this point. You know what I mean? They love you. They take pictures. They laugh at your nonsense. You just improvise. So it doesn't really matter, mate. And at the end of the day, I think we live in times where it's like, it has so much to do with personality and who you are as a person. And I think a lot of people come to comedy shows now. I'm an open micer, so they don't come to see me. But I'm talking about, people who get, big work and paid. But I think nowadays, building a following is, I think, sometimes even more important than you being that funny on stage. You always have to be funny, let's be honest. But building an audience and a following, sometimes they just come to see you. You know what I mean? They don't really care what you're gonna say that much. They just like you as a personality. They like you as a character. Maybe they're taking up pictures back in the day with you, or maybe they texted you on social media, and you're like, oh, thanks, mate. I really appreciate it. You know what I mean? They are a fan of you. They're not a fan of the material. So keep that in mind. And I said all these stuff to him. I'm not sure it was on the radio, maybe little bits, because we were playing music, so it's like a music thing, and we just talked between the music. And he was like, wow, I've never, thought about it this way. And I was like, yeah, mate. He was like, how do you know these stuff? How do you think this way? And I was like, mate, before I started doing this, I was in business for 9 years. This is what I do. I was like I wouldn't say businessman, but I wasn't that successful, but I've learned a lot of stuff. And I said, my background is business and marketing. I'm just happy. I just happen to be funny. You know what I mean? At times, not always. That's how I know these stuff. And you just need to, it's very important how you look at things. And if you look at it this way, then the whole game completely changes. Because now I know, like this morning, I wrote, I have like a bunch of new material that I need to tighten up, and I need to learn and how to perform and all that stuff. So did some writing, and now I'm recording the podcast. After this finishes, I'm gonna do all the promotional material. Even though this is gonna come out in 3 weeks, I'm gonna prepare everything, the banners, all the promotional material. I'm gonna schedule all the posts on my Facebook, on my Instagram, and on my YouTube, on Podbean as well. Then I'm going to do what I'm doing after that. Oh yeah, then I'm going to, because I'm working on my website still, review the website. I'm working on some doing some leaflets and promotional material. Gonna work on that. And in the evening I have a gig. I'm gigging in Liverpool. So you know what I mean? It's like a full day of work for me, and it's like a business. This is how I see it. So I think, I don't know, I think that's useful for people. If you're not comedian, you're just like, I don't fucking care about this shit, mate. What the fuck are you talking about? But this podcast, this episode is mostly about comedy, because I do each episode, I want it to be its own little thing, and like own little sub genre topic or whatever. So this is probably the comedy episode, and it's a bit of a comeback as well, because I came back from like a month and a half not doing this, because I had plenty of episodes and I just want to experience life. Now the other 10 years, I'm gonna talk about the radio experience. So radio experience, very important for me. I'll tell you why. First of all, it was on my bucket list. I checked that thing off. Yes, mate. Now I have a few more. Actually, I want it to be published in a newspaper. I know nobody, like a physical newspaper, I know nobody reads them. But I think, I think it's gonna make my honestly, I think it's gonna make my parents and my grandparents proud. I'll tell you why. Because they come from a different generation. They grown up, in Bulgaria under communist rule. They come and they even don't. They until this day they don't get why I do stand up comedy. They just don't understand it because there was no stand up in Bulgaria when they were growing up. We had the first comedy club open in Bulgaria, I think like 4 years ago or something. You know what I mean? Like in 2016 or whatever. So they just don't understand it. And when I say to them, I was on the radio, it's like, okay. If I say to them, online, blah, 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 they don't get it, you know what I mean? But if they see a newspaper, because that's what they know, they still buy My grandparents buy a newspaper every single morning. And, they'll be like, "Oh, he's very successful there in the UK," and they're gonna cry because the emotional old people. My grandparents are quite old, my parents probably as well, and they're gonna show it off. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of like, because I want to make them proud. Let's be just fucking honest. With the newspaper, with other stuff, I don't care if they see it, and I'm quite happy that they'll probably never see me perform live, which makes me really happy because they don't speak a word of English, and I don't think they'll ever visit the UK, which is great for me because there's no pressure. I like when it's all strangers, and but I think with the newspaper they can have some, because if when I one day get published, I'm gonna buy a bunch of copies and I'm gonna send them over in Bulgaria. They're gonna cry. They're gonna put it in a frame. They're gonna go and show the whole fucking neighborhood. They're gonna show all their friends. You know what I mean? Like, for them, they get a paper, but they don't get like, oh, hold on, so this comedy club has a YouTube channel or an Instagram channel, and there was like a 4-minute video with a caption. They don't. That doesn't mean anything to them. So I want to get published in the newspaper. So if somebody knows a newspaper, I'll probably try to do the Liverpool Echo. To be honest with you, I think maybe in about a year and a half, when I start to dabble in paid work, then, because now I'm an open micer and that's not that interesting. But I think because I have an interesting backstory. How I came to this country and worked on the farm and came with no money, and like, it was a struggle the first few years, and then I started to build, like, slowly had a job and this and that and this and that, and then I'm doing comedy. I've learned English all by myself watching cartoons. I think that's quite impressive. Just taught myself English pretty much over the years, fluent, and I'm funny in a different language, which is quite difficult. Just like everybody who is listening, who is an native English speaker, think about this. Do you think you can go to Spain and be funny in Spanish? You know what I mean? Just live there for 10 years and get the social norm, social construct, learn the language fluently, and have the timing and be funny in Spanish. You know what I mean? I'm not like bragging and be like, oh, look at me, but you know what I mean? I think that is quite unique in a way, and so I think that's a very interesting story to have, and especially now with the whole post-Brexit things, and things are so fucking weird over here. You know what I mean, with this whole Brexit, and it's like, but for me it doesn't, like, I've always, like, 10 years here, I feel like Liverpool is my home. Like, I have this joke, I'm an honorary Scouser. You know what I mean? I feel like when I'm in England, I feel I'm at home, so I don't feel like a foreigner in this country at all. Never felt that way, even from the beginning. Maybe the first 1 or 2 years, but especially the last few years, I feel British. So it's not like I don't, you know what I mean? It doesn't. Well, maybe legally it's gonna have some effect on me, but I don't think so. I have paperwork and I have the residency. I'm gonna apply for citizenship in a few months as well, if I manage to get the money. It's fucking expensive. I'm gonna start a crown. You know what? If I open like a crowdfunding, I'm pretty sure, because it's £1,300, I'm pretty sure I can get the money in a few months. I'm not joking. Like, I'll be like, just donate £1 for Mike Yanek to stay in the UK. If somebody wants to do that campaign for me, I'll be very happy. I'm not joking. I'm sure I can get the money. Not joking. Like, a lot of people like me, so just a pound. No, I'm not gonna do that. I don't wanna, like, I feel awkward taking money from people for something that I haven't, like, accomplished or earned them, just taking the money. So the radio experience was very, very interesting for me, because I see stand-up comedy as, when you walk into, like, these MMA gyms and stuff. Now, just for the record, I'm not a fighter, okay? I'm not even a lover. I'm just a comedian, you know what I mean? Like, I have no idea how to fight, so I don't want people to be like, oh yeah, because, they think I'm like a tough guy, or, when I'm gonna talk about MMA now, I'll be like, oh, you wanna fight? And look, no, mate, I don't wanna fight you. One time, oh my god, dude, let me just, I go to the gym from time to time, and I really love to do my stretching because I'm an old guy. I'm 30, and I used to train a bit of boxing back in the day, but a lot of basketball for 5 years. So I have a lot of injuries on my ankles, on my just from sports, mate. It's just how it is. I used to train and work out a lot. And what I like to do, I've trained boxing for 1 year and a half, but I'm not like a badass or a fighter or anything. But I know how to move a little bit. And it was when I was 19, so I haven't even put the gloves on, to hit a punching bag in, I don't know, 11 years now. Anyway, I kind of know how to do a bit of shadow boxing. And I'm just stretching, just moving, just a little bit. I'm not going fucking full Mike Tyson. And these fucking meatheads, mate, honestly, like these fucking bodybuilder guys, like two, like fucking, like these fucking, and they come over, and I'm just listening to some music, just stretching because we have this little area, where you can move quite easily. One of the fucking guys, he goes, "Oi, mate, you fucking, are you like a fighter or something?" And I was like, "No, mate." And what, you trained boxing or something? And I was like, "A little bit back in the day, yeah." And I'm just being polite, nothing. And he was like, "Oh, come on, let's spar, let's fight now." And I was like, and by the way, this guy's fucking massive. He's like 100 and something, like a bodybuilder, mate, like a meathead. And I'm like, and just look at him. And I'm thinking, he's old, man. He's in his 40s. And I was like, no. And like, what the fuck? Well, I'm gonna spar with you. First of all, I'm 60 kilos, mate. You're 110. You know what I mean? Like, and I know you, mate. Like, I know this type of guys. Like, first of all, because now I don't want to sound prejudiced, because you should never judge a book by its cover. But he seemed like the type of guy who cannot scratch his own back. You know what I mean? Because he's so overdeveloped, and the way he walks and moves, there's no way this guy he can move fluently and box. You know what I mean? Like, no fucking way. He's just a meathead. So I know what he's gonna do if I was stupid enough, or if I had a bit more kilos on me. Or like, okay, let's spar. He's not gonna spar, mate. He's gonna fucking swing. You know what I mean? Because this is the type of guy who is like a little bit, he like the macho man, but he's actually really insecure. And I'll tell you why. Because like, I'm not a fighter, but if you find a guy who can actually box, what's gonna happen? And if he was like a little bit bigger, what they gonna do? I've seen this many times when I was in the gym back in the day, boxing, and when I was even on YouTube, you can find it. Have these fucking meatheads who think like they're really strong because they can power lift or whatever, which is fine. I have nothing against that. But like, boxing is different. So you're gonna find a guy who's really slick, and they're gonna get the whole gym to watch. They're gonna start, and this guy, he's just gonna move, and he's gonna tag him. He's not gonna even hit him hard, but he's gonna tag him, a little bit in the face, a little bit in the belly. You know what I mean? And this guy, he doesn't have no idea how to box, so he's gonna get frustrated. You know what I mean? And when he gets frustrated, because he's getting embarrassed now, because like, this is the type of guy who thinks that, like, this is my place, I'm the alpha male here. But the thing is, like, there is different situations where you can be alpha male or female. Let's just call it alpha, right? There's different situations. Like, for instance, if you go to a comedy club, the alpha male or female is the person who is the funniest in the room on that stage. It's not the biggest. Like, I've seen people, like, I'm tiny, but I've seen people even smaller than me, and they go on stage. He's definitely not an alpha male, but he fucking owns the place, and he's the funniest. So for that period, he is the alpha. It's not the guy on the first row who is 110 kilos with big muscles, because like, how much you can bench press doesn't matter in a comedy club. You know what I mean? Vice versa, how funny you are doesn't matter in a weightlifting competition. You know what I mean? So, or in the boxing gym, like, how good are you at maths doesn't matter when you put the gloves on and you're inside the ring. It just matters how good you are at boxing. So he's thinking like, oh, I'm gonna whatever, and he's gonna get frustrated, and he's gonna start swinging. And when he gets swinging, he'll get aggressive, and you know what I mean. And then somebody's gonna get hurt, because this is not the point. We're just having a little spar. We're just gonna have fun, but you're gonna get embarrassed, not by me again. I'm not, but by somebody who knows what he's doing. So I was like, no, I'm not gonna. What the fuck? So you know what I mean. What the fuck was I talking about? So I was talking about the radio. How the fuck did I get into the gym and this fucking guy? I don't know. Whatever. Like, I get the MMA, but yeah, I don't want fucking meatheads to be like, hey, mate, you want to fight? No, I don't want to fight you, mate. You know what I mean? I'm a grown up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wear sweaters, drink tea, and file taxes on time. I don't want to fucking fight you. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck's wrong with these people? When I see grown men, by the way, fighting in a pub, And I was like, what are you doing with your life? You're 47, Patrick, or Steve, or Philip, or whatever the fuck. What are you doing? Let's meet outside and fight. No, mate. I have a job in the morning. I'm not going with a black eye to my job. What happened last night, Mike? Well, he said that my football team stinks and we just had to fight outside. Hey, what can you do, bro? You gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta protect that the honor of your football team. Oh man, some crazy people in this country. I love it. Anyway, I think comedy is like stand-up comedy is like a bit like the MMA stuff. You know how they have different disciplines. So they have, like the boxing, fucking jujitsu, judo. What's that one? I don't know, karate. Is that even a thing in the? Is karate still a thing? I know it's kind of fake by this point, isn't it? Man, you have like real badass stuff like this fucking kickboxing and Muay Thai, jujitsu. Is karate still a thing? I don't think so. Anyway, yeah, you have Muay Thai. You have all these different disciplines that they're still fighting, but they're different from each other. Same with comedy. You have props, you have one-liners, you have storytelling, you have physical comedy, you have clean comedy, dirty comedy, observational, blue comedy, obscure comedy, crowd work, what else? Fucking slapping people in the face. No, don't do that. Yelling at people in a foreign accent, that's my specialty. You know what I mean? They're still comedy, but they're all different from each other. And I'm a huge believer that the more tools you have in your tool belt, I know it sounds stupid, but the more you have it, the better you will do, the more confident you'll feel on stage, the more relaxed, the better you will feel. You will have a better life, I think, when you know how to do more different disciplines in the thing that you want to do. You know what I mean? Same as a baker, right? You can bake cakes, you can bake pizzas. Does it count? It doesn't really count, but you know what I'm saying. You can bake muffins, you can bake fucking pretzels. You can be really good at cakes, but you wouldn't know how to do all these other 20 disciplines. I'm not saying you should be perfect at all of them because it's kind of impossible, but I think that you should have maybe 2 that you're really good at and maybe like 4 that you know how to do and you're comfortable doing. You know what I mean? Just try to expand and learn as much as you can about the stuff that you're passionate about. So this is how I see it. So I was thinking like, what, because I want to have a career in the entertainment industry, and I was like, okay, so I'm learning how to do a single podcast now. It's gonna take time, and I'm trying to improve. I'm learning how to do, I've done a few like interview style on other people's podcasts, which is interesting. And I was like, let me see if I can do radio, because like radio is very different. A lot of people say nobody listens to radio. Why you do it? But for me, it's a challenge because first of all, it was not allowed to curse. I was not allowed. Okay. And I love to swear. Goddamn, you know how I is. And man, you've heard me before. Shit, I love me to drop some F-bombs up in here. And I just love it. It's just fun. But I'm trying to reduce that now on stage and just, when it's not needed. Sometimes you just need that F-bomb to be the punchline, but I don't do it anymore. But I try not to use that more. The other thing is because it was a music show, so it was 2 hour show. I was there for 2 hours, but we actually recorded 45 minutes of us speaking, because I'm not joking. It's like we have a song and he is like, okay, we're coming back from the song and we have 90 seconds, you know what I mean? A minute and a half. So it's very interesting. Honestly, it's completely different from anything I've ever done before. Because like doing the single podcast, I can just talk shit uncontrollably for hours. If I want to do 10 hours, I can do 10 hours. Nobody can stop me. I don't know if somebody's gonna listen, but if I mention strip club reviews, nobody's gonna listen, you fucking bastards. And you should listen to that episode, man. It's fucking brilliant, that one. If you do like an interview, it's a long form, you have somebody to bounce off of. It's usually not that many ads, you can, blah, blah, blah. But this is like a family-friendly stuff. It's happening live in the moment, okay? I managed to get the recording, which I'm very thankful for, and, it's on my YouTube. But, it's live. There's no editing. There's no fucking, okay, let's pause this. Let's this. If you say something stupid, that's it, mate. It's out there. You know what I mean? And it's just like fucking, and it's a bit, I wouldn't say stressful, it's different. It's like you're in a professional studio. It feels very different, and you gotta be PG friendly. We had this thing where people were texting in, I think they were saying that they want to do something like, people can call in the future, which is a bit risky if somebody is like cursing or saying crazy stuff, on the phone. But still, and they got us questions and stuff, and that was quite interesting. And I had a great time, honestly, amazing time. And he said you have an open invitation, and I'm planning to do it maybe in 6 months from now. So I did it on the 31st of January. So let's say so February, March, April, May, June, so July. So I'm thinking end of July maybe I'll go back there. Oh, and it's gonna be so fucking hot. So hot during the summer, Jesus Christ. And but it's good, man. So what I'm trying to tell you is just challenge yourself as much as you can. That's why I did the Gong shows as well. Even though this is not something that I wanted uh, to do from the beginning, but I did it. It's fun, it's interesting. I did the radio. I had a great time, and after that, we spent some time. We went to Weatherspoons, which I'm obsessed with that chain. If you're not from the UK, Weatherspoons is a chain of pubs that serves an unbelievable amount of food for £10. Okay, just imagine you will go and they have this menu of about 12 dishes, I think, or whatever, where you can choose three of them, and it's a tenner. And it comes. Does it come with a. No, without a drink. Well, I drink only water, so I don't care. I ordered a pizza, and it was like a really nice size pizza, very delicious pizza. Um, Pork ribs. It's like a proper, like, I don't know how do you count them, but they had like 6 or 7 bones. So I don't know, is that like one? I don't know. Like pork ribs, amazing with this sauce. Comes also with huge 6 really big onion rings, and I've ordered chicken wings. 15 fucking chicken wings, mate. 15 is it's amazing. Honestly, it's so good. Chicken wing with sauces, all that stuff is for a tenner. Okay, it's unbelievable. I couldn't finish all of it. Like I had like 3 chicken wings left or something. It was amazing. So uh, just think about it. If you're in America, I think they have like huge portions there, and the food is cheap. But it's like for $10. And I always, when I'm in town, if I have the opportunity, always go there. If they did takeaway, by the way, Weatherspoons will be, oh my god, nobody will go to take other takeaway ever again. It's amazing. And it was just fun, man. And then we talked about wrestling because he's a huge fan. And now I'm trying to organize, by the way, with a bunch of comedians to go and see, because it turns out a lot of comedians are wrestling fans, to go and see a live wrestling event with a bunch of comedians. So I think that will be really, really good. Anyways, yeah, that's it, mate. That's it for this episode. Let me see how much I've done because I need to go, bro. Have a busy day in front of me. I'm a very busy boy now. Bloody, bloody, blah. Okay, yes. I hope that you enjoyed this episode, mate. And listen to me, mate. Don't fucking worry about anything, okay? Don't you worry about fucking viruses because you're gonna kick that motherfucker in the dick, okay? And don't you worry about anything, mate. If something's bothering you, just go out there, hustle, bustle, and whatever you wanna do, just fucking work at it, mate. This is a very motivational episode, by the way. But I am enjoying it, to be honest with you. Next episode, I'm gonna talk about I'm back on Tinder, mate. Oh fuck yes, mate. Z Snap. Hold on. Boom, boom, boom. I don't know if you heard that. I'm back on the Tinders, and because I took a time off for 7 months, and it was very good because I focused on comedy and not being dependent on what other people think about me and women's approval and all that stuff. And yes, mate, and it's an absolute shit show again. Tinder, I completely forgot how many crazy girls are on Tinder. But in all fairness, I talked to a girl, and one of my mates also, she has Tinder, and she said that the male side, if you're a girl seeing all the guys, is even worse because at least the girls, they're crazy and have weird eyebrows and eyebrows and a bunch of kids from a bunch of different guys, single moms, but at least they're not as aggressive because the girls, they're telling me some guys are fucking like, oh, you need to call the police. What the fuck's happening? These guys are proper crazy and aggressive and say mean shit. So next week I'm gonna talk about that, and I'm gonna bring you some more interesting life stories from the amazing, unbelievable life of Mike Yanek Superstar. And now I'll speak to you next week. I love you. Bye. Oh, hold on. And now enjoy the outro song of the Mike Yanek Show. This was my Yanek show. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I had a lot of fun recording it. I'll see you next week. All the best. Bye.